together. One piece of music that we sang last week at Slichot is called Return Again. The words implore us to return to the home of our soul. The word for soul in Hebrew is nefesh. Home is bayit. However, in ancient Israel, our ancestors had a spiritual home as well, where the community gathered. It was the Mishkan, the desert tabernacle, that the ancient Israelites built as a place to welcome God into their midst. The Mishkan was a temporary structure, easy to assemble and disassemble, and move from place to place along the Israelites' 40-year journey through the wilderness. Tonight, we enter into a new Mishkan, Mishkan HaNefesh, our new Machzor for these days of awe. And I hope that everyone has the gold-colored version that says Rosh Hashanah on the front. We could translate Mishkan HaNefesh as the soul's dwelling place. For as I hope that you will discover in the days ahead, what you hold in your hands is a very soulful book. I hope you will discover readings, poetry, music, even art that will speak to your soul. We will take a journey together, and you can choose to follow me or wander on your own. But trust me, you won't get lost. You'll just find your own pathway. Mishkan HaNefesh is intended to provide an enriching and enlightening prayer experience. So too is our Mishkan, our sanctuary, where God dwells among us. We create a safe place to pray, to reflect, to comfort, and to be comforted, and to gather. In our Mishkan, we call Temple Beth El, we find strength from our tradition and our people. Earlier this year, we introduced our new mission statement. Walk through our doors and feel our warmth, it begins. When you come into Temple Beth El, we want to be sure that you are welcomed warmly. Know that you are valued, celebrated, and treasured. We want you to feel at home. Our Mishkan rests on several pillars, including spiritual growth, substantive learning, celebrating the arts, community building, and social justice activism. We have many ways to connect to the divine and to one another. We enter into this place with diverse beliefs and experiences. However, I truly believe that we share much in common, even with those with whom you think you have little in common. It just takes an open conversation to share ideas, to learn more about what unites us. We enter into the Mishkan this year during a challenging time for our people. Much has been written about the countless ways that we are divided as a nation and as a Jewish people. We are less able to open our ears, our minds, and our hearts to different viewpoints, different from our own. Scurrilous attacks abound, and demonization of the other is commonplace. On Yom Kippur, I will speak about how we talk to one another, and how we also need to raise our voices in response, using our text and our heritage of our tradition to guide us. I challenge us to buck the trend of division and find ways to unite around one another, around the values of our mission statement that guide us in our work. I'm proud of the work we've done over the last 12 years to open and extend the boundaries of our tent, our Mishkan. And I'm eager to take this journey through Mishkan HaNefesh together. My prayer as we begin the year 5778 is that this Mishkan will be wide enough to welcome all. May we be comforted and maybe even agitated a bit now and then. May we find moments to think, reflect, respond, and engage. May our Mishkan be a sanctuary for all who yearn to be comforted and find peace within this holy place. Shana Tova. Normally when we light the candle that lights the other candles for the holidays, it usually doesn't burn down before we even light. So, Carol, I think you have about 30 seconds or so to come on up here. So, on page 11, as we prepare to kindle the Yom Tov lights, it's a pleasure to invite Carol Leventhal, president of our sister, to lead us in the blessing.
The first mitzvah in the Torah is let there be light. So we are commanded, in everything you do, be a menorah, a bringer of light. Live with honor, act with integrity, do your work with passion, and the radiance of your deeds will live after you. May our ideals burn bright, forever unextinguished, and may we live our lives like the flames we kindle, always stretching upward, striving for the good, and reaching for you. Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on this festival.
See, the reason the candle is so low is because it means that the air conditioning is working. We're very grateful for that. How is it back in Al Manuel Hall? Is it good? Excellent. The first time in a year, Shachiona for that too. Thank God. On page 12. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. This is the season of the soul, a time to rejoice, a time to reflect, a time to return. A time to gather around the table with loved ones and friends, a time for song and silence, for prayer and confession to open the heart, a time to retreat to our sanctuaries within, a time to renew the life and spirit of our community. This is a season of attentiveness, a time to notice what has unfolded and what has not, a time to regret, a time to forgive, a time to remember cherished dreams and high ideals erased by reality. This is the season of hope. Like mist rising at sunset, like dew descending at dawn, our hopes beautify and nourish everything they touch. Our hopes make us partners in creation, pursuers of peace, people who aspire to a world of justice. This is the season of awe. When our eyes behold it, may we feel blessed. When we turn toward each other, let us feel strength. When we seek the holy, may we find purpose. May we find courage. May we find love. Please stand if you are able.
Oh
page 19. Eloheinu, Avotenu v'Imotenu, V'hi ratzon shnizkeh livrotecha, Vishnat Chameshet Alafim Shivim U'Shmona. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5778. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness, and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life.
Page 23. Bless Adonai, who spends day into dusk. With wisdom, watch the dawn gates open. With understanding, let time and seasons come and go. With awe, perceive the stars in lawful orbit. Morning dawns, evening darkens. Darkness and light yielding one to the other, yet each distinguished and unique. Marvel at life, strive to know its ways. Seek wisdom and truth, the gateways to life's mysteries. Wondrous indeed is the evening twilight. Baruch atah Adonai hamaravim haravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dust.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Continue on page 33.
Okay. Please join me in the responsive reading on page 33. To break the bonds of anger, to be generous of heart.
To break the bonds of shame, to live with self-respect.
To break the bonds of envy, to serve one another in joy.
To break the bonds of boredom, to be attentive to all God's tastes.
To break the bonds of fear, to live with courage and strength.
To untie the knots of betrayal, to love with fullness of being.
To break the bonds of loneliness, to receive a hand of hope.
To break the bonds of self-centeredness, to extend a hand of help.
Released from the darkness, our people found their freedom at the sea. And we pray for liberation at the dawning of this year.
Hashkivenu is our nighttime prayer. We ask God to spread over us a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace. We ask God to protect us from pain, suffering, evil. The melody we sing on Friday night in temple and to our children at home is beautiful and comforting. Many of us are able to sing these words without being terribly concerned about suffering we may experience in our own lives. We are settled into a fairly comfortable rhythm. Evil is distant from us. Yet many are not as lucky. We have friends and relatives who suffer from debilitating illness of body or mind, or who suffer through economic uncertainty. We think of women, children, men, families throughout the world caught in war zones, living in fear and uncertainty. We think of those in Mexico, Puerto Rico, the Caribbean, Texas, and Florida who have lost their shelter and their sense of security, and for whom peace of mind is elusive. So as we pray Hashkivenu, grateful for the blessing of God's protective presence in our lives, let us pray as well for those who desperately need God's protection tonight and all nights. Continue on page 40 with Chatzi Kaddish.
Mitkadosh, Mitkadosh, ולמד יברח חירותך, וימליך מלכותך. בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב במהרו אמן. יש ברבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתעלה ברמה ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקדושה בריחו לילה ולילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, ושמחתה ונחמתה, דמירת מעלמה ואמרו
Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel teaches, the words of our prayers must not fall off our lips like dead leaves in the autumn. They must rise like birds out of the heart into the vast expanse of eternity. We prepare to enter into the blessings of the Tefillah on page 42. I invite you to please stand if you are able.
Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו לאהבה. מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומסיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך מניד ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו, לחיים לחיים ברחמים, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה.
You are holy, your name is holy. Seekers of holiness praise you day by day. Selah. Be seated. Page 49.
And so, Your Holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeheartedness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name.
on page 50. And so, in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith, true happiness for the land of Israel, true joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see a beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection.
And so in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy, a world where evil has no voice, and the rule of malevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from the earth.
You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you. As the psalmist believed, Adonai will reign eternally for God, Zion, for all generations. Hallelujah. You are holy, your name is awe. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, hamelech hakadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, holy sovereign. Page 57. This is the prayer God utters. May my mercy conquer my anger, and all my actions toward my children, may my compassion prevail. And this is the prayer I say. Compassionate one, rule over me today and always. Let mercy and forgiveness hold sway. Let the good within me prevail. Page 60. Please pray silently through page 71. We continue on page 75 with Avinu Malkeinu. Please stand if you are able. Let's pray responsibly. We haven't forgotten Avinu Malkeinu,
Though we've overthrown kings and we disobey fathers.
and we have no great liking for absolute power. Akiva stood before you in a time of drought, and his words went up like a flame on the altar.
Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our ruler. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us.
He was humble and forgiving, so his prayer was answered. Tonight we speak again in a time of drought, dry ground beneath us, no water, only rock.
Not a hunger for bread or a thirst for water, but hearts that are longing to hear God's voice.
For the sea of faith is all but gone, the tides run out on the empty beach. The world mocks our hopes, and life tests our courage.
Why do the wicked live on and prosper? Why are you silent when they prey on the innocent?
And if your dominion is kindness and justice, why is creation in so much pain? Avinu Malkeinu, sustain our souls, send rain to our roots, help us find a way to pray.
Make us humble and forgiving of ourselves and one another.
Avinu Malkeinu, renew these words, help us speak them with conviction and believe their truth. 100 generations have stood before the ark, and they lifted up their voices like flame on the altar, and they put their trust in kindness and justice, and they gave their strength to make the promise real. Avinu Malkeinu,
We have forgotten. Avinu Malkeinu, bring us back to you.
Join together. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, you alone are sovereign.
Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us. Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful,
Answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Yegranu Masi, Aseinu,
Please be seated. I learned a few years ago that trying to begin a sermon at 10 after 9 in the middle of the week is virtually an impossible task. So as has been the custom for the last several years, I take this opportunity on Erev Rosh Hashanah as we slowly enter into these days of awe, is to share a story which I hope will frame some of our time for today, tonight, tomorrow, the 10 days of repentance, and then all the way through Yom Kippur. And the story is called The King's Treasure. It was written by my colleague, Rabbi Neil Amswitch. A long, long time ago, in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a king and his subjects. Tell me if you've heard this one before. And one day, a man was summoned to the king. And the king handed him a map, a treasure map. The king said to the man, "On this map, you will find a great treasure. Open it, follow its directions, go to the place on the appointed time, and you will find the treasure." Well, the man was very excited, of course. I mean, who wouldn't want the king's treasure? And so he opened up the map, and he looked at where he had to go, and he looked at the date on it. It was a couple days away, and he was just so excited. He just took the map with him. He just threw a backpack on, took one little bottle of water, went on his way, and he found his way to the top of this mountain in a remote part of the kingdom. Now, this man, so eager to find his treasure, didn't really take the right tools with him. He didn't have a shovel, didn't have a bucket, didn't have anything to dig with except his hands. And he wanted that treasure. So he dug, and he dug, and he dug. He dug on the ground, and he dug for hours and hours and hours trying to find the king's treasure, and he found nothing. All he had after several hours were two hands that were bloody, bruised, and calloused. Well, he was just about to give up when he looked up, and there was a woman standing over him. And she too had a map that was just the same, with the same date, the same place. The man looked up at her, and he said, "Well, you're here, I'm here, let's pool our resources and dig together. Maybe we'll find the treasure together." So the two of them dug and dug and dug, and they tried to find the treasure, and after many more hours again, the man's hands were still bloody, bruised, and calloused, and so were the woman's hands. Well, they were about to leave, when all of a sudden they looked off into the distance, and 1,000 people from the town and the kingdom were coming their way to the mountain, all holding maps, all trying to find the king's treasure. So all of the people came together, and they dug, and they dug, and they dug. And after a few hours, we had 1,000 pair of bloody, bruised, and calloused hands, and no treasure to show for it. Everyone in the kingdom returned very dejected that they had not found the king's treasure. Well, time passed. It was just about another year. And the man and the woman and 1,000 people in the kingdom, they opened up the maps and they said, here's the map, here's the directions, but all it said was a date and a month. There was no year on there. Maybe the king meant this year we're going to find the treasure. So everyone went back again, each individually, and again they were so focused on themselves and their selfish needs. They didn't take a shovel, they didn't take a bucket, they didn't take anything to dig with except their hands, which had healed over the course of the year. And they dug, and they dug, and they dug, and they found nothing. But they always thought, next year we'll find the treasure. Just like everyone who plays the lottery has over $100 million. This time I'm going to win, right? So next year they go back and they dig, and the year afterwards, and this goes on for many, many years, just like this ritual that they do, going back to the mountain to dig and dig, and over the course of time, as they tried to find treasure, all they did was help to erase the mountain and wear it down. This went on for many years. Finally, one year, a young girl went to the king. She said, "King, many years ago you gave my family this map, and you said that we would find treasure there. When we go year after year, all we do is we look down and we dig and we find nothing. Where is the treasure?" To which the king said, "Have you ever looked up?" And she said, "Well, when I look up, all I see is people." To which the king sighed a big, heavy sigh. That is the treasure that I want to give you. The gift of community. The gift of people coming together at one time a year to find this treasure. That is my gift. That is my greatest treasure for you. And the girl said, "We've been doing this year after year after year. How come you never told us?" He said, "Nobody asked." But you have. So now here is your charge. You need to go back to all the people who come year after year after year, who have spent all of these years wearing down my mountain, who have been focused on their own selfish pursuits, only looking down, trying to find treasure for themselves. You need to find those people, and you need to tell them to look into the eyes of the other, to work together, to build up this community, and to help make my mountain whole again. So a couple months passed, and that appointed time of the year, 1,000 people gathered. They had wheelbarrows, they had shovels, they had rakes, they had all the equipment they needed. They had a whole lot of dirt as well. And they took parts of the mountain and they began to shape it again. And then another year passed and they came and they put more of the mountain back together. And year after year after year, the people came together as a community to put it back together. And once the mountain was almost back to where it was in the beginning, they took seeds and saplings and flowers, and they had new life grow from the top of this mountain. The king looked from a distance, and he was so very pleased. He was pleased that the people finally understood what this great treasure was that he wanted to give to them. This gift of community, this gift of coming together in one place, especially on one day a year, to come together and to build a community of hearts and souls, building us with our hands, and building a community with love. I think there's a lot of truth in that story, that when we do come together as a community, as we do not only for these high holy days, but when we come together week after week on Shabbat or Torah school, for any one of our programs, we are made stronger and we are strengthened as one. When we look into the eyes of the other and we form this sacred bond with one another, we accept this great gift, this wonderful treasure that the King in the story has given us, that we accept in our hands. And I hope and pray in the year ahead and the years ahead that we'll recognize the treasure that we are as you just look to your left, to your right, in front of you and behind, and see how treasured each of you is to us, to one another, to our entire community. Amen. Another one of our long-standing customs on Erev Rosh Hashanah is to have our president share a few words as we enter into this new year. This year we have two presidents, Gail Schwartz and Eric Imley, co-presidents of Temple Beth El, I think for the first time in our history. So tonight their message will be twice as long as it has been in the past year, so. No, they've got it down. Gail, Eric,
I'm always on that side. I thought I'd come on this side.
Good evening.
Wait, where's
Hi,
my
Gail.
folder?
Where's your folder?
Did you take my folder?
I thought it was my folder.
No, your folder was under that envelope.
Oh, here I'll go.
Welcome to my world, folks.
That's about how it goes with us, and usually my fault. Good evening, Gail.
Good evening, Eric. A poem. You will like the I'll start over. You will like the folks you meet in our town. The folks you meet on any street in our town. Pick out any cottage, white or brown. They're all so appealing with that lived-in feeling. You will like the shady lanes in our town. The music of the passing trains in our town. You will lose your heart, I promise you, in this, our 2x4 town, with a welcome on the door town. If you just make it your town too. Okay, for one trivia point, or maybe two, can anybody identify those words? Okay, 5 trivia points. I'll give you a hint, they are lyrics to a song. The name of that song is Our Town. Written by Sammy Kahn, Jimmy Van Heusen, and performed by Frank Sinatra on a TV show of the same name, which aired in 1955. Why start this talk with an old crooner song from before the time many of us were born, including me? Just saying. This sentiment of our town rings true to Eric and myself, and even for our congregation today. In the next 20 minutes or so, we'll explain why. Just kidding, just kidding, Ryman. That was our joke.
I got nowhere to go.
We really won't be taking that long.
TBE prides itself on being a warm and welcoming community. We even have a whole committee of individuals dedicated to that very task. We have not 1, not 2, but 3, and sometimes even more greeters here for services and events to make sure that everybody who walks through that door feels welcomed. We have just completed an extensive renovation to our physical home, as you all know, to make sure that the doors are accessible to all, along with such things as a bathroom for families or those in our community that prefer a non-gender specific facility. We have strong programming providing many opportunities throughout the year where the community comes together. We gather for the education of our young and not so young members, social action, social justice events, and a long time and outstanding lecture series named for the visionary originator, Dr. Esther Taus of blessed memory. Our music programs are beyond compare. Youth choir, teen choir, and adult choir, the Moody Jews, concerts in salons, under the stars, musician in residence, and more. Our most recent guest was cantor Natalie Young, who wrote one of the pieces the choir will be singing at these high holidays. We have an endowment to help support our annual budgetary needs. We are a multi-generational community with many families that can count 3 generations here. We, as a congregation, have been a vibrant member of the South Bay community since 1922. That's 95 years.
Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the issues and challenges of today that we neglect to stop for a moment to reflect on the long journey that has brought us to the present, to enjoy and be proud of all of the years of history and the many accomplishments. At this particular time in the Jewish year, reflection is the major focus and responsibility. Let's stop for a brief moment. Let's take a breath. Seriously, a real breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the warmth of this community the strong connection to God and one another in this holy sanctuary. For all of you who may be thinking, okay, that's nice, we already know all of this, so now what? In this year's, thank you, whoever laughed. In this year's address, we didn't want to only focus on the past, but also the present and the future. Who are the two of us, and where do we see this congregation going? You ask, who are these two people talking to us tonight? You ask, who are these two people talking to us tonight?
I'm Eric Imley. I've been a member of this community with my family for 10 years. I have a daughter, Lillian. She's 13 years old. She's 8 weeks away from being bat mitzvah. Yikes. She's a middle schooler at Mira Lest Intermediate. And I have an 11-year-old fifth grader at Dapple Gray named Abigail. Both are in the Torah school. My wife's name is Tracy. She's a physician at Kaiser Permanente. She's a proud graduate of the University of Tel Aviv. Go Desert Eagles. Or Maccabees. They've got a whole Cal State Long Beach dirtbags thing going on there. Tracy and I have been members, and we've been members, happy members, for such a long time of this community.
My name is Gail Swartz. I've been a member for TBE for 30 years, since
Wow.
I was 2. And coincidentally, I am also a Peninsula resident with 2 children and a wonderfully supportive husband, as some of you may know as the former TBE president. He is my rock and my sage advisor. Though, why he didn't warn me about the immense responsibility of being a TBE president will be, I'll never know. Maybe it's simply a case of you'll never fully understand until you will walk a mile in those shoes. Boy, oh boy, I think I need to go buy more shoes. My son BJ is 39, lives in Modesto with his brand new wife and 2 stepchildren. Our daughter Rebecca is 26, can you believe that? 26, and is an auto technician and a software engineering student, still living at home. Both of them completed their education at TBE through confirmation, and for Rebecca, she started here even before she was born.
Wow.
Yeah?
Okay, so Webster's Dictionary defines co-presidency as, well, let's face it, Webster's Dictionary didn't bother defining co-presidency. They didn't want to waste the paper or the ink to define such a term. This leaves the definition up to us, the board of directors, and you, the community that we serve. Gail and I are certainly not the first to look at this type of leadership model. We have found that we are not alone in using a team approach for presidency in the Jewish community. We even have the opportunity to look to our very own TBE sisterhood for guidance because they have demonstrated so well how shared leadership works. We believe that having 2 partners as president will, with different experiences, lends a better understanding in ways to serve this community. Our own diversity of thought, the collective wisdom of the board of directors, along with thoughtful input from the entire congregation, will help us ensure that collectively we do the best for TBE. On a personal note, I've always really appreciated that Gail has tolerated my sense of humor, hopefully enjoyed it too at sometimes. Thank you, Gail.
You're welcome, Eric. Okay, that's not scripted, right? Okay, just saying. Our vision as co-presidential leadership is straightforward. We will focus on doing the sacred tasks of service to this community with kavanah, with viewpoints strongly steeped in Jewish values, encouraging and facilitating opportunities to participate in tikkun olam, repairing the world, enabling activities in social action, and pursuing social justice. We are aligned with focus on fiscal responsibility and financial conservatism to ensure the continued stability of this holy congregation. We support our history of program excellence, diverse opportunities for spirituality, exploration of traditional practices, and experimentation with progressive ideas and Jewish expression.
We are both very analytical in our approach to life, as I think Gail has just demonstrated, and we want to be very explicit about our goals for our presidency and the future of our community. We will be communicating in the coming months on the different goals we have set and what we are going to do about each one of them. The first 2 of these specific areas, which we will highlight tonight, are communication and building our community. Not our physical home. We have just done that. but in the area of membership growth. We believe that over the next few years, for us to be, that we will be successful. However, to accomplish this, we're going to need your help and maybe your resources.
Resources. Nope, not going there. Resources, such things as your time, energy, open communication, constructive criticism with ideas for solutions. Otherwise, we know it's just complaining. Though we want to hear complaints too, complaining without solutions is just negative energy. Oh, but wait, I digress. Ideas with solutions, volunteerism, participation, and of course, monetary resources. Though for our talk tonight, money is not our main focus. However, so not to disappoint, stay tuned as this topic may come up in a few minutes. We are starting two new communication initiatives to facilitating creating open dialogue. The first is Ask the Presidents. Please submit questions to us via email that you are interested in discussing, and we will address them in future Kol Beit El articles. Kind of like Rabbi's Torah question, submitted to each B'nai Mitzvah student. Of course, we'll never be so presumptive to think that our responses will be as steeped in Torah and as learned and insightful as his teachings are. The second initiative is Pastries with the Presidents.
Yay! Oh,
unabashedly copied from Rabbi's Coffee Talk. The first PWTP, I am an engineer, had to throw in an acronym, had to do it, will be held on Monday, October 16th at 10 a.m. at the Yellow Vase on Western Avenue in San Pedro. We are so excited about this new opportunity to talk with you in a relaxed setting that the first round of pastries will be on us. Financial speaking, of course, not physically.
The part of our vision we want to address tonight, the other part of our vision we want to address tonight is growing our community. We accomplished a balanced budget last fiscal year and have projected a balanced budget this fiscal year. To dispel any rumors that might be floating around to the contrary, TB has been stable at a number of between 240 and 260 member families for the past 7 years. In great years and in lean years, we have always stayed in that range. We don't know if we will be able to break above 260 families in a sustained way, but we are going to give it a try. Thanks to Elliot Schwartz's leadership and the work of the Membership Outreach Committee, there was a consultant-led activity to help determine a path forward to growth. The fundamental result was that efforts and ways of the past no longer provide the needed results of today. The conclusion is that we need some help from a professional in the field to design and implement a strategic program over at least 2 years to attract and retain new members. We've already begun fundraising efforts to bring to fruition a part-time membership outreach professional. After talking to presidents at other temples, we have learned that some activities do not need outside guidance on implementing best practices, and that some do. Growing membership is one of those activities where a little extra help has gone a long way to grow other communities. We will be moving forward on this, so please let us know if this is something you would like to be a participant in. We will need all sorts of help and skill to be successful, but the vibrancy of our community depends on a steady and constant growth of new families to bring in new ideas and form new relationships.
In summary, we have taken these few minutes. Are you guys getting like tennis match neck? Just wondering. In summary, we have taken these few minutes to look at the past and celebrate it. We have looked at the present state of the congregation with appreciation for all that we are doing, and he looked to the future to see where we are going. And 2 of the initiatives will start us on this path. No single person in the path did those path and past. No single person in the past did those great things alone, and we certainly can't do it now alone. And it will take the entire will and effort of this community to accomplish these great visions of the future. Together we can, and together we will. Shana Tova.
thank you, Gail, and thank you, Eric, for helping to frame a vision for the future as we move forward. And I can speak for all of us who have the privilege of working with you that are really excited to collaborate together, to work together, and to help make this vision come to reality. So thank you. A few brief announcements before we begin to conclude our service tonight. Just want to invite you to refer to the Rosh Hashanah and High Holidays handout that you received as you came in. A lot of announcements and programs are coming up in the days and weeks ahead. When you leave tonight, Sabrina and Sophia and others, are we passing out bags? Yes? Okay, excellent, great, okay. So our members of Speedy and Yaldei Shalom means our 6th through 12th graders are going to be passing out bags for our annual High Holy Days food drive. If you are a 6th through 8th grader and want to help Sabrina and Sophia, you could do that as well. That would be very helpful. Take those bags, fill them up with non-perishable food, bring it back next week on Yom Kippur, and we will donate the food that we collect both to SOVA, Jewish food bank run by Jewish Family Services in Los Angeles, and also Harbor Interfaith Services, a program right here in San Pedro. We're also continuing to collect gift cards that we're going to send to synagogues in Texas and Florida in these Jewish communities that were particularly impacted. If you borrowed a mock store tonight, please remember to return it tonight. Otherwise, you might have a hard time getting home, I think. But please be patient, as it might take a little bit of time to complete your return. And also, if you haven't ordered one yet, please do. We're going to try to get those who want to order your own, hopefully by next week. We're not sure. Choir, you guys sounded great tonight. It's great to have the voice of our choir by Bob Remstein and Cantor Lon Davidson. Thank you for helping to lift up with so much beautiful music tonight. We have so many volunteers and greeters who have helped to welcome everyone here and make everyone feel at home. So thanks to all who have helped behind the scenes to get us to this time. Particular thanks to Carrie Hernandez and Shoni Gramco and our amazing custodian Adam Pelkey, who have worked hard to make TBE shine this year. Tomorrow morning, our Rosh Hashanah service begins at 9:30. Our family service is at 3 o'clock tomorrow, a little bit later than it's been in previous years. The family service is open to everyone. No ticket is required, and it's a great way, as Eric and Gail were saying, great way to welcome new members into our community. And then we will conclude Rosh Hashanah tomorrow with Tashlich, the ceremony where we symbolically cast our sins into flowing waters. We'll meet at Averill Park at 4 o'clock. And then Friday night and Saturday, as we continue these days of awe with Shabbat Shuvah, we'll have a special meditation service here Friday at 6:30, led by Cantor Davidson and Pam Tarlow, who I saw somewhere. And also on Shabbat morning, we will meet for a special Shabbat Shuvah Torah on the trails at the White Point Nature Preserve, Saturday morning, Shabbat morning at 10 a.m. Please drive carefully when you go home tonight, and Shana Tova. Page 78. As we prepare to say Kiddush, we take a moment to celebrate milestones and achievements from this past year. So if any of these things apply to you, I invite you to please stand when you hear the one that applies to you. So for example, if you moved into a new home this past year, please stand. If you brought a new child or grandchild into the world this past year, please stand. Or a great-grandchild, thank you. Or
and remain standing. Remain standing. Once you're up, remain standing.
Nephew, yeah, indeed.
Once you're up, remain standing.
If you were married this past year, if you celebrated a graduation of high school or college or grad school for yourself or a child, if you started a new job, a new career, had a new beginning. If your favorite baseball team in the world won the World Series for the first time in 108 years, and Rabbi Leib is standing with us tonight.
That's right.
And for Elliot and me at least, if your favorite football team had the most miraculous comeback in Super Bowl history, if you celebrated a milestone birthday or anniversary in this past year, however you define it, one with a 0 or a 5 or just a single digit, or if you celebrated any birthday, please stand and we join together, if you're able.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher בחר בנו מכל העם, ורוממנו מכל לשון, וקידשנו במצוותיו, ותיתן לנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה. ואת יום הזיכרון הזה, יום זיכרון תורה, מאהבה מקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כבוד בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל עמים, ודברך אמת וקיים לעד. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל ויום הזיכרון. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, שהחיינו וקימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. לחיים.
Continue with Aleinu on page 82.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו בהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים,
8. All last requests are granted, and this is mine. Grasp my affection in your hand and hold it there. Gather my affection into your heart and store it there. Draw my affection in simple lines in your mind and foster it, further it, funnel it into all the coastal plains and lowlands where daily life and memory flow together. Let the river of affection rise and overflow. Let the grasses in the meadow near the river bend in the current where my love has flooded your land. As we prepare to say Kaddish Yatom, mourner's Kaddish for those whom we loved and whom we've lost, and whose absence this year is particularly felt, I invite you, if you're in the period of Shiva, Shloshim, or a Yortzeit, in the first year of mourning, if you'd like to say the name as my hand goes around the room, please add our names together.
Valen Watson. Bill Mason, Don Dawson.
Jerry Goldberg. Page 90 together. Yitkadal.
Kadal Vidkadash, Shmei Rama, Yalma Divrach Yosef, Yamlich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yomechon, Uv'chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, V'agalau V'zman Kariv, V'imru Amen. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמי בקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה. תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלום רבה מן שמיה. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, באמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל, באמרו אמן.
May the source of peace bestow peace upon all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. Amen.
May all be sealed for a year of blessing in the year ahead. Shana Tova.